The mold issue was something that didn't come up with anyone until we talked to Dr. Pendleton. Jonah had a lot of different issues. He had the sensory processing stuff, he had the right brain delays, the social emotional, the articulation, but every doctor and therapist that we've worked with, there wasn't a lot of discussion about, what his birth process was like or how his health has been or how my health has been. So in talking with Dr. Pendleton about all of the things that Jonah is experiencing, there were a lot of questions about what the birth process was like and what my health has been like. And really, since Jonah was born, I've had another child since that time, but since Jonah was born, I haven't felt like myself. And there's been a lot of different health struggles that most doctors have told me are just part of the postpartum process. From hormone imbalance to postpartum anxiety, depression, that kind of thing. But no one had really dived deep into the symptoms. And so Dr. Pendleton asked me one day about my health, and I said, it's basically a train wreck. I'm going through all of these things right now that I can't find answers to. So in that conversation and in sharing with him some of the symptoms I had, he said, have you ever been tested for mold? And I thought, well, no, I haven't. But I also thought to myself, why would I need to be tested for mold? We live in a desert, I don't think I've been exposed to that. But then I started to think I lived in Seattle for 10 years, completely different climate where mold is present everywhere. But then in just discussions with him and learning a little bit more about it, it seemed like there was definitely some underlying issues with me. So we did a mold test on me, and sure enough, it came back positive for mold toxicity. So at that point, we realized we needed to check our environment and see what was going on at home. We ended up finding that we did have a pretty big mold problem, which was absolutely shocking to all of us. When we moved into our house almost 4 years ago, it was in October, and that first winter and spring started to notice roof leak. So the roofers came out, fixed the roof. Within about 6 months, still a roof leak. Nobody could fix it. Long story short, I have an engineer husband, so he decided to open up the roof and see if he could figure out where it was leaking from. He opened it up, black mold everywhere in the ceiling. Where that leak was, and that was in one location. We had leaks in 4 different locations. Open up the ceiling, same thing in each one of those spots. We had our house tested for mold, so they came out to look, and the guy who came said, I don't even need to perform a test because I can see it. I can see it in the ceiling. Neither of our bathrooms had ventilation fans. So there's mold growing there, which happens in everybody's home, but there was more mold than there should be. And then the biggest culprit was we have a couple of dogs who are old and have lost bladder control. So they urinate on our carpet in our bedroom a lot just because they can't hold it. So we were running a steam cleaner over that probably 4 or 5 times a week. And then using a fan to dry the carpet. So we were talking to the guy who came to test for mold about that, and he said, you need to pull up your carpet and see what's there. So we pulled it up, and the entire thing was full of mold, all over the floor. And this is on my side of the bed, so I sleep right there. This is where my kids slept in their bassinet when they were babies, right there on top of the mold. So, long story short, we ended up having to have that remediated, $20,000 worth of improvements to our home, and the mold is now gone, and